couple said appeared to go down 10 feet and into the water. Wow. They made the drive once and then opted to park down by the harbor and walk.
Wow.
Okay, Jessica.
The GPS. That was the GPS.
Jessica, go.
I think so.
That looks horrible. Okay. So a little girl learned a hard lesson after getting stuck inside a claw machine during an attempted stuffed animal heist.
Wow.
4-year-old Poppy's older sisters persuaded her to take one for the team so they could all get a toy. It became abundantly clear to Poppy that she had made a huge mistake. As soon as she breached the high-security claw machine, she was trapped for a few minutes before her mom's partner helped free her. Now, to be fair, those claw machines are rigged by design. It's in Australia.
It took her parents parents 700
Don't
quarters
have
to
a
get
lot
her
of
out.
time.
I hope they got all of those toys. Okay, this Florida man has a heart of gold. Patrick Rhodes works 2 jobs, but he still finds time to deliver meals to essential workers through his Essential Workers campaign. This year, he is providing meals to staff members at schools across the Tampa Bay area. He says that he gets his meals and donations from area businesses, and he's working to start his own foundation. So Great job to Patrick Rhodes.
Very nice.
To the people in the community, telling them how much I appreciate what they do and what they bring to the community, makes me smile, makes me happy.
There you go. Great job.
You
Good for
couldn't
him.
quite
Go,
understand
Jimmy.
what he was saying, but what he was saying was, come see me do stand-up comedy live in 2023. I will be out in Seattle at the Federal Way Performing Arts Center on March the 3rd. I'll be in Sacramento at the Crest Theater March the 4th. April the 7th, we're at the Tower Theater in Bend, Oregon. April the 8th, the Egyptian Theater in Boise. And we'll be in Jersey, April 21st and 22nd at Bananas, the only time you'll see me near a fruit.
All right.
We'll hit it.
2 things you're used to seeing. People wear funny Christmas sweaters, like dressing up like an elf, and college basketball coaches going absolutely bananas. But have you seen the 2 things together at the same time? That's Tom Izzo, the coach of Michigan State, and he's an angry elf. He's an angry elf in this game.
That's awesome.
There you go. That was last night's game against Oakland.
Wow.
Fabulous.
All right. That's it for us tonight. Special report is up next. Hey, Brett.
Judge, I think I saw Gutfeld stuck in one of those claw machines once. I'm not sure.
Yeah, looking for Gus.
Yeah, you got it. We'll see you. Good evening. I'm Brett Baer. Cryptocurrency company owner Sam Bankman-Fried makes bail after extradition to the U.S. from the Bahamas. Dangerous winter conditions affect tens of millions of Americans as the holiday travel season intensifies, and women in Afghanistan take to the streets to protest a Taliban rule banning them from universities. But breaking tonight, an omnibus spending bill to keep the government open is in the hands of the House right now. Tonight, senators earlier approved the measure today with all of that spending, $1.7 trillion. One of the sticking points for the bill has been Title 42 asylum rules, dealing with the southern border illegal immigrants, due to expire but currently being preserved by the U.S. Supreme Court. White House correspondent Peter Doocy starts us off tonight live from the North Lawn. Good evening, Peter.
Good evening, Brett. Even though the Justice Department admitted this week there will be a temporary increase in unlawful border crossings if and when Title 42 goes away, there wasn't enough interest in the Senate today to do something about it.
As tough as these times have been, if we look a little closer, we see bright spots all across the country.
As President Biden puts a bow on 2022,
I sincerely hope this holiday season will drain the poison that has infected our politics.
his most loyal partner in the Senate says Democrats will try immigration reform in the new year.
I think the Biden administration realizes it has to come up with a real plan for the border that's not just punitive or health-oriented. You know, Title 42 has no consequences.
Title 42 could have remained, but a Republican-led amendment to make it the law of the land failed.
For 8 glorious minutes on the U.S. Senate floor, we had this amendment won. We had the votes necessary to pass an amendment to keep Title 42 alive.
Also disappearing, Arizona's border wall made of shipping containers. The feds wanted it gone, and the state says it will be by January 4th.
I think their policies is to just process asylum seekers and illegal aliens quicker into this country so that we can release them under catch and release. And unfortunately, catch and release is the magnet that is driving people to this country.
Border towns are bracing for as many as 14,000 migrants per day once Title 42 finally expires.
So as you can see here, basically, we've secured the border using the use of Humvees, concertina wire, and soldiers. Basically, what we're doing here is we're basically just redirecting the migrants to the only legal port of entry.
But we don't expect any new policies or new insight from the president on immigration until the new year.
Mr. President, do you think this border? So we still don't know which border crossers President Biden thinks should get to stay and which border crossers President Biden thinks should be expelled. But we do know this humanitarian crisis that is brewing at the border is expected to get worse while most of the folks that work on Capitol Hill or here at the White House are home for the holidays. Brett?
Peter Doocy live on the North Lawn. Peter, thank you. We'll talk with the Texas governor in a bit about this. A technology-led sell-off sent stocks tumbling today. The Dow lost 349. The S&P 500 fell 56. The Nasdaq dropped 233 today. The founder of that collapsed cryptocurrency firm that sparked a growing investigation into the industry is back on U.S. soil tonight and out on bail. Former FTX CEO Samuel Bankman-Fried was extradited from the Bahamas last night and is on his way home now to California. Connell McShane of Fox Business joins us from New York with the latest. Good evening, Connell.
Hey, good evening, Brett. The FTX founder was released on a $250 million bail package here this afternoon. It was described by a prosecutor as the largest ever pretrial bond. Now, Bankman-Fried had already agreed to waive his right to fight extradition and arrived here in the United States last night in a flight that came in from the Bahamas. This morning, he was here in court in New York City for his initial appearance and mobbed by reporters and photographers on his way out. And now he does head to California. That's because he's been ordered to stay at his parents' house there while he awaits trial.
Back up, back up, back up, back up. My car! Get out of my car!
Sam, what do you say to your investors who've lost so much?
No answer for my question there, and really little or no expression in the courtroom today either from Bankman-Fried as he was seated in between two of his lawyers, shackles on his ankles, listening as the prosecutor Nicholas Ruse called his alleged crimes, quote, a fraud of epic proportions, and said the evidence includes testimony from multiple cooperators. One will be a former colleague and girlfriend, Caroline Ellison. She's now the former CEO of the crypto trading firm Alameda Research. She pleaded guilty to 7 criminal counts, and the FTX co-founder Gary Wang pleaded to 4 of his own. Both are now cooperating with investigators, which could strengthen the case against Sam Bankman-Fried, who was not asked to enter a plea of his own today. He was only told that his next court appearance will be on January 3rd. He faces 8 federal counts here in New York, accused of defrauding his own customers, lenders, and investors. Brett?
Hey, Connell, do we know where he got the money for the bail? I mean, he said that he went from $20 billion to $100,000 at one point in one of those interviews.
All we know is that his parents' home was used as collateral. So his parents had to put up their home as collateral for the bail, and that was all we were told in terms of how it was secured. But the $250 million, again, we've never seen anything like this. When Bernie Madoff walked out those doors behind me in 2009, that was a $10 million bond. This is $250 million.
Yeah, pretty amazing. Connell, thank you. There is new reaction tonight to revelations the FBI paid millions of dollars to Twitter to help control information before its purchase by Elon Musk. The Bureau says it did nothing wrong. Not everyone sees it that way. Here's Chief Washington correspondent Mike Emanuel.
FBI officials say they did not provide Twitter with any specific instructions or details regarding the Hunter Biden laptop story. When asked by Fox News if those officials are saying the Bureau provided no information to Twitter related to Hunter Biden or Russian influence and Hunter Biden, the FBI would only say, quote, we focus on activities attributed to foreign actors, not on the content or narrative. And we did not discuss or provide instruction regarding Hunter Biden's laptop or associated media coverage. On allegations that the FBI and back-channel communications with Twitter attempted to suppress or spike the Hunter Biden story, the FBI responded, we did not request anything of the sort. A House Oversight Republican says he'd like to ask FBI officials those questions and more under oath.
The FBI had the information, but they were telling social media companies to do what they could to tamp down on it and to not let that information out. Without a shadow of a doubt, that is interfering in an election.
In the latest release of the so-called Twitter files, it revealed the FBI paid social media companies. Independent journalist Michael Schellenberger quoted internal documents. I am happy to report we have collected $3,415,323 since October 2019, reports an associate of Jim Baker in early 2021. Baker is Twitter's former deputy general counsel, and before that was the top lawyer at the FBI. FBI officials tell Fox the money was for reasonable costs and expenses associated with their response to a legal process. FBI officials say Twitter is not the only social media company it has paid, but would not elaborate on any others or how much has been spent. Brett?
Mike, thank you. A winter weather system bringing snow, wind, and extremely cold temperatures is making its way across the Midwest right now. The National Weather Service says wind chill advisories will affect about 135 million people in coming days. Forecasters expect the so-called bomb cyclone to develop near the Great Lakes. That occurs when atmospheric pressure drops quickly in a strong storm. The weather system is affecting the travel plans of tens of millions of people who are trying to get away for the holidays. Senior correspondent Mike Tobin is at O'Hare International Airport in Chicago tonight. Good evening, Mike. There could be some upset people there.
There certainly could be, and here in Chicago, they're expected to get the worst of it, and the flight cancellations are materializing. 262 flights thus far have been canceled out of O'Hare, 116 out of Midway. Nationwide, 2,271 domestic flights have been canceled, and millions of people are just trying to make it home. Nature chose one of the busiest times of the year to uncork winter's fury, leaving many travelers with nowhere to rest but the floor of the terminal. Even where the weather had not turned bad, some people got the news their flight was canceled because the weather was bad at the destination.
They changed my gate, then they canceled my flight, so I got to go back down here, rebook, or either refund.
I'm not optimistic. If they already had canceled flight for later in the day, so it's not looking good.
Denver and the Twin Cities seemed to get the storm first, while security lines pushed across the terminal at Minneapolis-St. Paul. The ripple of delays and cancellations caused lines to wrap around the corner at LaGuardia.
General boarding, all flights are airlines.
Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson also saw crowds pile up while the snow accumulated elsewhere. But with a prediction of wind gusts reaching 50 miles per hour in places like Chicago, driving the wind chill to -30 and drastically reducing visibility, the storm has the potential to be much more severe than a travel disruption.
Please take this storm extremely seriously. And I don't know whether your boss will let you, but if you all have travel plans, leave now.
For millions of people whose lives have been disrupted by
A bear escapes an exhibit at the Florida Zoo and attacks a zookeeper before being fatally shot by workers. It happened last night at the Jacksonville Zoo and Gardens. The zookeeper's injuries were not considered life-threatening. Fox 23 in Albany, as New York State legislators vote themselves a 29% raise, it would make them the nation's highest paid state lawmakers. Members